Despite outrage on the left, new data show President Trump's border policies are overwhelmingly popular with the American people, especially with independents. Check this out.
Take a look at this. Party trusted more on border security among all voters. Look at this Republican lead. It's a 16-point advantage. Republicans running away with it. Republicans far more trusted than Democrats are when it comes to border security. And look at among independents. Look at this lead among independents. It's nearly double what it is versus the entire electorate overall. A 30-point advantage for Republicans on border security. They are trusted far more on border security than Democrats are. And of course, that's because at the top of the ticket, right, the top of the very top in the executive branch, President Trump actually is running a positive net approval rating when it comes to border security.
I love when CNN has to cover the Fox News polling. Here now with more, Ohio Republican gubernatorial candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek, it's so great to see you. The numbers don't lie. I read 600,000 and some deported. Another 1.5 million have self-deported because of President Trump's policies. And I think he succeeded so much, so early in his term that we sometimes forget to talk about it amidst all the other prosperity, opportunity, and security gains.
So look, Kellyanne, it's a great point you make. The only reason we're not talking about border security, which was a top issue in the 2024 presidential election, is that the problem is so nearly solved at this point in having sealed that southern border. That's a big deal for the country. And it's not just about immigration policy. This is about restoring the rule of law in our country. It says that an open border is not a border. A nation without borders is not, in some sense, a nation at all. And I look at not just the southern border policies, but the other policies that even left-wing cities have imposed. One that's very personal to me is my city of Cincinnati, where I grew up. It's my hometown. The city of Cincinnati went so far as to declare itself a sanctuary city. That doesn't make sense. And you've seen cities run by left-wing mayors across the country do the same. What is that telling the citizens of our country? It's saying that if the government isn't even willing to enforce or respect the law, then why should ordinary citizens in that city respect the law either? And I think these issues are linked, Kellyanne, this abandonment of the rule of law. Why you're seeing the rise of urban crime, especially under President Biden, you did, was an abandonment of the rule of law by the government itself. And so that's what I think this issue is about at its core. Of course, we had to stem the tide and end illegal border crossings, but it's part of a broader project of restoring that rule of law. When I think about, we're almost at America 250, right? With the things that made America great the first time, it's our system of free enterprise and it's our respect for the rule of law. Those are two key elements that made this country great. And that, too, is what sealing the southern border was all about.
And they're also, Vivek, under assault by these radical socialists who now are proudly saying we're going to upend rule of law, we're going to, quote, eradicate Western civilization. What are people in Ohio saying about that? And do you fear it could take hold in some of the more liberal enclaves in your own state?
Look, I think people are waking up to the reality of that risk, Kellyanne. I don't think people are fully waking up, but I think they're starting to. You look at the socialist sweep in New York City. You look at what's happening in places like California and Minnesota. If we don't safeguard against that, it's going to infect other places as well. And we're going to make sure, it's my job to make sure it doesn't happen here in Ohio this year. I'm running against somebody who is like one of those socialists, similar to Spanberger in Virginia. You could pretend to be something else and hide the ball, but really move on these increasingly socialist policies. And when we say the word socialist, it's worth pausing on what that actually means. At the root of this, Kellyanne, is, I think, the most destructive human emotion of all, which is envy and grievance, which regards someone else's success as coming at your expense. The greatness of America was built on the proposition that someone else's success also lifts you up. That's what makes the American dream possible. I know that American dream because I've lived it. I wasn't born into the circumstances in which I live today, not even close. But we're going to lose that upward economic mobility. We're going to lose that sense of the American dream if we go to this new model of socialism that says that, you know what, I deserve something because you have it, instead of something that I have to earn by working hard and paving my own way. That's what America was built on. It's what we've got to revive. And in Ohio, we're going to make sure we protect that principle of celebrating success.
Yes, it's aspirational, not envy. That should make us all feel motivated. Well, good luck to you in your race. Ohio, people think is a red state, but Obama did win it twice. Trump and others have made it much more red, including our Vice President, Bernie Moreno, John Husted, and now Vivek Ramaswamy. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with Me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.